Well, if it isn't Cardano, welcome back to the top 10. Cardano, why is Cardano moving? Where are the prices going? We're going to have that discussion. Also, a historic day for the Bitcoin ETFs as we cross not just 1 billion, but over $1.4 billion in inflows. Wall Street is here. They're continuing to buy. What is the Ethereum ETF doing? And how high can the price of ETH go? We'll talk about that as well. We have Forrest and a special in-studio guest joining us today. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Federal Reserve, their rate cut, and what that means for the crypto markets and what sector should potentially benefit from it. We'll have that discussion and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
It's your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto, home of it's almost a $77,000 Bitcoin cryptocurrency show, where unlike the other YouTube channels, we take old, boring, and stale information, but we do it in a fun and sexy way that doesn't bore you to death, and we got the #1 content in the planet. Thank you. Hi.
Wow, such an inspiring intro, man.
You know
I'm inspired.
Are you?
Can you tell by the tone of my voice?
Yeah, absolutely. I see you have a different shade of turquoise on today.
Well, we've been matching all week, so I figured definitely. No, you don't have this color on. This is a Caspa color, actually.
Oh,
yeah, it's a Caspa green. In honor of Caspa's birthday.
I'm that Ethereum black. You know.
Wow.
Ethereum's moving, bro.
I know.
You know what? I think altcoins are performing extremely well. I mean, I was going down the list this morning, and my God, the layer ones, one after another, your Cardano, Avalanche, Solana, Ethereum. Now I'm excited to see when this pours over to the other layer twos, right? Or the further down the list layer ones, because we haven't seen that big price movement out of Caspa yet. We haven't seen the big price movement out of Hedera yet, which, by the way, we do got a Hedera video coming up.
We're checking on Polkadot. Oh, still at $4.
Polkadot. This is a $4 stable.
This is we're gonna start calling it Polka Don't, because it don't move no matter what the markets do. You know.
That's right.
Anyways, it's Friday, so we have our friend Forrest joining us, but we also have a special in-studio guest. We have Nick DeMundi joining us. Nick, this your first time in the studio?
It is the first time.
Welcome
to the Sin City Crypto Studio.
We're excited to have you.
Yeah.
Welcome to the channel. Also, we have Ashley, our in-house Bitcoin psychic
savant.
No, quant. She's our Bitcoin quant. So any Bitcoin related price questions, please cue Ashley. But again, it's Friday, so we have Forrest joining us, and what a great day. Forrest, welcome back to the show, brother. What are your thoughts on
Thanks for having me on.
What we've seen from the markets? I know we talked about this last Friday. This was the Friday before the election. We were all like, hey, if Trump wins, we expect a massive candle, which we did. We got around a 10% daily candle. Bitcoin is about to break $77,000 right now. It actually just did break $77,000. It was at 77 flat. Now it's at 76,99999.
Oh.
So anyways, what do you make of the current markets, Forrest? Rob, and I'll preface it by saying this. Rob showed yesterday, it was yesterday or 2 days ago, a chart going all the way back to the election in 2020, 2016, and 2012, 2016, and 2020. And he showed the fact that, hey, whatever the price of Bitcoin was prior to the election, after the election, as we started rallying, we never saw those prices again. Which means if that holds true, we're never going to see $67,000 or lower again. Do you buy into that sentiment? And what are your thoughts on how the market has moved?
Yeah, so a lot of questions there. I think we could see sub 70K again. It wouldn't be like the end of the world. I'm super bullish. I don't necessarily think that we will, but I think that we could, and it wouldn't be like that horrible. Especially if like we ran up to like 150K and then our bear market brought us back down to like 70. But yeah, I mean, like it's a pretty good setup to never see those levels again. I would say, like, you know, we talked about Trump winning being super bullish. The market hates uncertainty. So as the market's super uncertain before an election, depresses prices and a lot of risk assets. And then obviously Bitcoin, or Trump rather, being super Bitcoin friendly and Bitcoin strategic reserve becoming a distinct possibility. Like Bitcoin becomes a very clear long, crypto becomes a very clear long. Anything related to Elon, who has aligned himself with Trump, is a clear long. Doge, Tesla performing extraordinarily well. So yeah, super bullish, and I'm like, we get CPI next week. So as long as we don't get any major surprises there, I'm bullish. But for all the sidelined people, you might get your dip if we get a hot CPI print. So we'll see.
It'll be
Rob almost died right
yeah,
there.
what is
Right, Forrest, I had a question about that. Like, do you really think CPI it does that much to the Bitcoin price outside of a 24-hour up or down? Like, it doesn't. No one seems to give two craps about it.
I would say the market between now and then could, if like we continue to get super leveraged, you get one of those big leverage flushes, right?
Okay.
So like, who knows how high we could go between now and next week, but let's say Bitcoin's trading at like 80K plus and everybody's super leveraged long. And then CPI comes in hot, everybody kind of panics, everyone's in major profit. Then you get one of those nasty wick flushes down to like 77, 78K, whatever. I'm just throwing out numbers. I don't know where Bitcoin's going to be, but I don't think it would change the course of Bitcoin being bullish. I don't think it would change our general trend upwards that we're in, and push us back down into like the 50Ks or whatever. But I do think that could be what creates your next dip buying opportunity, your next your next correction overall.
Awesome. I do want to share this. This was yesterday's ETF flows.
Wow.
Record day of $1.373.8 billion in inflows, with BlackRock alone bringing in over $1.1 billion. Fidelity came in second at $190 million worth of inflows. We even got inflows from the Grayscale product. And so just an absolutely massive day. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF has now surpassed their gold ETF. And may I add, the gold ETF was introduced in 2004, and Bitcoin's ETF hasn't even been around for one whole year. Guys, do the math. And here's the article here, right? It's past the gold ETF and net assets in just months. Forrest, what do you forecast for, I don't know, December and going into 2025? Are $1 billion inflows going to be the norm now that there's more certainty and clarity around, of course, the election? You hear, the whole Hamas thing. They want to end the war now, apparently, after the election. Putin and Trump are talking about ending the Ukraine war. So I think a lot of more bullish narratives and upside potential is coming to the markets in general. So do you forecast that the Wall Street money will be unleashed and continuing to see these $1 billion+ inflow days for the Bitcoin ETFs?
No, not at all. I don't think $1 billion inflows are sustainable in any measure. I think that is a reaction to a large amount of capital flooding in all at once off of the Trump win. It just became, Trump winning was a very, very, very unbelievably clear long signal on Bitcoin and crypto in general. And I think that's become super apparent to traditional finance. And that was like the one hang up that you really like, the one thing keeping people from really getting into the Bitcoin trade towards the end of this year and going into 2025 was the uncertainty around the election, because we'd probably be having a very different discussion right now if Trump hadn't won the election, a different discussion around crypto. So I think there's just a huge flood coming in all at once initially. And I'm not saying that ETF flows are going to go negative or ETF flows aren't going to be high and like the Bitcoin ETFs aren't going to be popular products at all. But $1 billion a day over any extended period of time is just, that's such an absurd amount of money. I just don't think that the capital is quite there to sustain that for like months on end. Could we get a couple more $1 billion plus days, either in the short term, like today's shaping up, like it could be another $1 billion inflow day. Could we get some sporadic $1 billion inflow days weeks from now or months from now? Sure, absolutely. Especially if we go into like a parabolic blow off top Absolutely. But I'm not expecting $1 billion every single day for like the next 9 months. I just don't think that is. I don't think there's that much money ready to flow in. But still bullish overall, and anything over $50 to $100 million a day is like offsetting the mining outflows. So anything over $50-100 million a day is an extremely large bullish amount of money coming in. $1 billion is just a short term kind of, I think, a short term aberration based off of the Trump win. So yeah.
Awesome. What are your thoughts, Nick? Do you kind of agree with Forrest? $1 billion days are kind of few and far between, or what, do you have a different kind of thesis?
So I mean, Forrest is really smart when it comes to TA. I'm really smart when it comes to things that aren't TA. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to get this right. I think that this is inevitable, though. If Bitcoins are going to overtake the market cap of gold, this must continue at a pretty consistent pace. So we're looking at $10 trillion, 11 trillion, right, Forrest, or 12 trillion now, adjusted for inflation, for gold market cap. He would know.
I think it's
I think it's like 17 trillion.
Okay.
holy shit.
So $1 billion days are going to be, I don't know, probably pretty consistent for the next 2 years. I would imagine so.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think, R?
RP.
Okay.
RP.
Yeah.
That new?
Thanks for using the initials there. Appreciate that. So
It's a good show, guys.
if you have nation states using, particularly the U.S. using the Bitcoin as a reserve asset in the same way that it holds gold, and you also have foreign nations, particularly Russia, I know has been experimenting with using gold as a medium for trade. Talks the same talks are being had with the BRICS nations. And so from a volume volatility, just transactions on the network, it's obviously going to go up. And as you have volatility, you're also going to get volatility in volume on the ETF products, on the Wall Street products, and the two go hand in hand, right? We don't see giant volatility movements in gold. Well, that's because people aren't really transacting in it. They're just essentially just putting in buy and sell orders and trading it. But
have you not seen the gold grills?
so
That's the funniest argument I hear from people like Peter Schiff is, oh, I can't do anything with Bitcoin. For gold, I can put it in my microcomputer chips. I can put it in silverware. I can put it in my mouth, and I can put it around my neck. I can't do that with Bitcoin.
yeah, honestly, I mean, the thing is that it's a digital utility, right? That's kind of the beauty of Bitcoin is digital utility. Right now, at this current state, it's more or less used just as a transaction vehicle, right? To move value from one person to another, or from one institution to another, or person to institution, whatever it may be. But we're starting to see that there's an integration outside of just the wrapped Bitcoin version, where you have ICP using Bitcoin natively on chain. You have Cardano is also doing the same in a different manner. But I think this is the normal. And then you also got layer 2s that are just straight built on top, like Stacks, or Stacks is technically a side chain. But you also have the Lightning Network, which gives it more of a centralized payment solution. And so I just think that with volume and volatility, you're going to get giant inflows just as a byproduct, right? And anyways, as that increases, I think that the inflows for ETFs increase. I think that the total market cap increases just because people are using it. Look at Ethereum just as an example. When everyone was using Ethereum and needing to purchase ETH for gas fees during the NFT wars of 2022 or 2021.
NFT wars.
That's what it was, bro. Everyone was
Yeah.
trying to mint. There's only so many transactions. You got to put in a higher bet. It's
PvP for sure.
yeah. And so, we saw firsthand what that meant for the Ethereum, token, right? Or the Ethereum coin was the fact that everyone was buying it and using it. And because of that utility, the price went up, right? And it wasn't because there were more long-term buyers. There was, but not to the effect that we saw the price shoot up to where it was. It wasn't like we just had 90% more people coming in to long-term hodl. No, just 90% or 2x or a factor of 5, whatever the number was, people were just buying it to use it as utility and gas fee, and the price went up. And I think you're going to see the same thing with Bitcoin. Everyone's going to want a piece of it to transact, and everyone's going to buy it. And nation states, it's the same shit, man.
Straight up, bro.
I'm telling you, dude. We're about to go on, and just like I said, it was the NFT wars. Now it's going to be the nation states. It's going to be an arm race.
The actual wars?
Yeah,
The wars.
Honestly, like I'm not even trying to be funny here, but it'll be a war, and just like you had a Cold War and a technology war, it's going to be a war amongst different nations.
I'm so distracted right now because do you guys, Rocco, do you remember the reason we didn't want to buy swivel chairs was because Robin was worried about me swiveling? What has he been doing for the last 10 minutes? Straight swiveling, bro. Okay, I don't want to hear you talk about me swiveling.
Where is your head at?
My head is
over here talking about God knows what, and then you're just over here, RP swivel.
That's right. Anyways, I want to give a big thank you to Not So Po Man because he gifted 10 memberships. So big shout out to you, Po Man, for helping support the channel. And all of you that help support the channel, we thank you. Speaking of supporting the channel, I want to give a big thank you to today's channel sponsor. Today's show is brought to you by Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you run a business, you want to maximize your networking, IT, and cybersecurity, take it from us. We've been working with these guys for well over 2 years. They're absolutely amazing. Visit bluewiretech.com or click the link in the description of this video. Before I move on to ETH, Forrest, I would like to ask you, please, for a Bitcoin chart. I know we're kind of in price discovery here, but what does a chart setup look like? I know, everything's pretty bullish today, but what's your next target to the upside? And potentially, if we do see a little bit of downside price action, where are you expecting the price to catch?
All right. So first I'll say like the Bitcoin chart is extraordinarily bullish right now, like crazy bullish. Like we're getting a very clean breakout. This is the weekly chart after a 230-day consolidation, one of the longest consolidations in Bitcoin's history. You could draw this as kind of a bull flag diagonal. However you slice it, we are breaking out with a lot of volume, and there's a lot of excitement here. This is the type of strong
handle, Forrest. That's kind of
what's up.
Isn't it like a giant cup and handle there? Yeah,
big cup and handle, whatever. I mean, whatever you want to call it. I mean, if you throw on like the AI chart patterns, it's been calling this cup and handle for a very long period of time. Ignore the rising wedge there. Sometimes it gets confused. It's saying like the AI target is saying 123. Take that with a grain of salt. That's just like a gut check I like to do. If the AI indicator will pick up. This is like free from TradingView. It'll just pick up on some chart patterns. Now, I say ignore the rising wedge, and that could be famous last words if we just revert right back down here and go to zero. That's not going to happen. We're super bullish Bitcoin. But yeah, cup and handle says 123K. Yeah, so this is exactly what you want to see on an all-time high breakout. Now, we kind of had that all-time high earlier in the year, but it's kind of like a fake all-time high. Adjusted for inflation, it actually wasn't an all-time high. There was so much inflation in this bear market that we actually, if you adjusted for against gold or for just CPI in general, we actually never made an all-time high. And now we've just been finally making our all-time high. But when Bitcoin makes an all-time high in this time frame, and again, last cycle it was around the election that we were revving up towards all-time high. You want to see that big weekly candle where it's not giving any doubt about where it's going, and everybody gets bullish. Nobody wants to sell their Bitcoin. Why would you sell your Bitcoin here? What's your reason? So, the order books go no offer, and then everybody's buying, and then you get that big markup in price. As far as price targets, there's plenty of different methodologies you can look at, time frames you could look at. I mean, you could just look at this as, hey, maybe this is our bull flagpole. If we stick it on a logarithmic view from where we broke out, where's that going to put us? That's going to put us at about 126, right, on this move. 123 was the cup and handle target. If you want to say this was a inverse head and shoulders breakout, that would give us a measured move of like 110K. You've got a lot of resistance, both psychologically and And in terms of like, some other stuff that I like to use, like, margin pressure levels around 100K.
Yeah.
But I think people that fade 100K, I mean, I'd be careful at 100K. Like, don't be surprised if you see some consolidation under there, if we do get a pullback and a correction and then a push through it. But yeah, I'd say like general view, like a lot of measured moves are lining up to like 120K region for this move. I'm not saying that that's where we're going to peak in this bull market. Like, I want to be very clear about that. But on this particular move on the weekly, that seems to be the region that we're heading up to with, 100K, 99K in this case, being a really interesting level to pay attention to. I think you're going to have a lot of people that have been longing from down here that are like, yeah, I'll take my profits and front run 100K psychological resistance. And then maybe we see 120K after that. I will say, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, and feel free to finish your thought, but I was going to ask you, now that we have some certainty as far as the direction of the political landscape, what's your like most bullish case scenario for Bitcoin as far as the top?
Absolute most bullish case for me. And this is not my base case, but this is like my upper limit case would be somewhere in like the 400K region. I personally, I don't think we're going to see 400K this market cycle, 300 or 400K. I am much more conservative in my view. That said, you can't deny how bullish a Bitcoin strategic reserve would be. The 400K plus target for this market cycle is contingent upon just everything going well for Bitcoin, in the sense that it just gets full acceptance in the global macro landscape, which I personally do not view as like the absolute base case over the next like 6 to 12 months. I think that's like a 4 to 5, maybe even 10-year ordeal. But that's just me being a little bit more conservative on this. I think it's possible we see 400K plus, but I'm going to take it one leg at a time. I'm going to take it, what are we seeing in the macro landscape? What are we seeing with Bitcoin flows? What are we seeing in the chart? And if I need to adjust my price targets up to 400K, I'll do so on the fly. But right now, look, we've been at 49 to 75K for so long. I just want to see us get through 100K.
Yeah.
And once we get through 100K, I'll reassess and see where we're at.
And then
but
just to give just to give the viewer, and maybe you don't know the exact numbers, but just to give some context to what you're saying about the strategic Bitcoin reserve, the bill has already been drafted. It just hasn't been put on the floor yet for vote, and perhaps they're waiting. Perhaps Cynthia Lummis and the Republicans are waiting to submit the bill and put it up for vote until a change of the administration. I would assume so. But in that bill, the U.S. will be acquiring, if this were to pass, per the bill, 1 million Bitcoin over the course of 5 years, which would be an expected 200,000 Bitcoin per year by the U.S. alone. On top of that, we already know that they're going to hold the 230,000 Bitcoin they already currently have. Going to send a massive price shock. So for me, when you say 400,000 and that's off the back of the Bitcoin reserve, I mean, those numbers are pretty damn staggering. I mean, you think about all the Bitcoin lost, Satoshi wallet, taking 1 million Bitcoin out of the supply over the course of 5 years, particularly especially in a bull market. We're going to be going into a bull market where the U.S. is pulling the trigger on 200,000 Bitcoin. On top of that, you obviously have the other big buys coming from MicroStrategy, and perhaps some other nations come and try to follow suit for what the U.S. is doing. So I don't think that 400,000 is that outlandish, and I think there's some probability to at least $250,000 Bitcoin, at least from my thesis when it comes to the U.S. Bitcoin strategy.
Yeah, if we get the Bitcoin strategic reserve, that's where I'm happy to be the person that calls for $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 Bitcoin. 100%. Like, it is super, super bullish. I'm gonna wait until we get closer to actually seeing that go through. I think that is a pretty ballsy bill to try to pass. And I'm not saying I'm against it. I'd be probably for it, but that's let's let it pass first before I go and call for 400,000 or 500,000 Bitcoin.
I'll say
But if
this,
it passes, then yeah, I'm like
the-
full on. Let's
the
go.
bill
We're going.
should
We're
pass.
going big.
There's no. I think with the Republicans holding a majority of the Senate, the House, and obviously the executive. The one thing that I would expect is that they're going to revise the bill. They're gonna perhaps propose it, and then it'll get kicked back and changed perhaps, and it won't be $1 million over 5 years. Maybe they'll think it'll cause too much volatility. Maybe they'll stretch it out. Maybe they'll decrease the number. I wouldn't be surprised to see the language change, but I feel very confident that it will pass if that's on the agenda. We know that Donald Trump has been pretty pro crypto across the board. Obviously, speaking at Bitcoin Nashville this last year. I wonder if the president will show up to Bitcoin Las Vegas. The next Bitcoin conference is here May 25th, I believe it is. Here in home of Sin City Crypto, which we do have a link to get discounted passes as well. So if you have not bought your passes yet, use our discount code OLA, link in the description. You'll save 10%. And then also come hang out with us. We're going to rent a mansion. Ashley will be there, passing out drinks. David will be there, mispronouncing people's names,
doxing people.
Did I even get a
I'm
pass?
mispronouncing people's names.
Or am I just there for the house, passing out drinks?
You're passing out drinks, girl, and giving and Bitcoin Oracle services.
What is wrong with this guy?
What is wrong with
What
you?
is wrong with you?
I'm just saying.
Why did I
Anyways.
turn into a bartender?
Yeah, Robin talks about me trying to give his house up to random people. He just gives us jobs that we don't even want. Thanks, Joe Biden.
You literally offer my house to anybody coming to visit.
Anyways, guys,
If Nick would have messaged you, you would have been sleeping at my house.
Dang it.
But you messaged me.
he's got a pretty nice house, though.
Yeah, is it true? It's true, right? You offer my house to everyone that comes to visit.
Not everyone. I've like once.
Now I know.
After
I'm
the
housebroken.
election, a lot of people have been radicalized, right? And well, there's one.
Why'd you look at me when you said that?
There's one set of, I shouldn't say people, but have you seen this? Squirrels in New York City, they've become radicalized. They're ready. They're not going to they're standing up for their buddy Peanut. As you can see here, the squirrel is practicing the art of, what is that called?
Wow. Wing Chun.
When,
Did you see the squirrel run across the Harris stage before she came out for her speech?
no.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Her concession speech. The squirrel was running around the stage.
That's hilarious. All right. I want to get into some Cardano talk here. Now, Cardano is absolutely ripping up 13% on the 24-hour, up 25% on the week. This is a cryptocurrency.
We were on here on Monday talking about, hey, watch out for a big breakout on Cardano when it was at 34 cents. They're like, hey, the next 48 hours we're expecting a giant move out of Cardano. I didn't think it was going to move this quite as much as it did. It kind of caught me off guard. But I was calling for 39 cent Cardano, and well, it just shot past that, man. Wow.
Well, Cardano, when Cardano moves, it moves very, very fast. Now, we did put out a video yesterday. The first portion of that video covered everything that's going on with Cardano and why it's pumping. So if you haven't watched that video, it's our last video we posted from yesterday. It's Cardano plus 3 other coins that we're looking at after Trump's victory. If you're a Cardano fan or if you're just a fan of crypto, highly recommend you go watch it. But it's gone through some upgrades. I also talked about some on-chain metrics, growth in active wallets and new wallets as well. In this article here, Cardano boosts performance with latest upgrades. How will it impact data? Forrest, as I go through this, if you want to pull up a Cardano chart, because I'm going to come to you next. Cardano has carried out a series of major updates to its protocol, which could mark a turning point in improving the performance of its blockchain. These updates affect core technology, development, scalability, and other crucial aspects. Their goal is to optimize the platform and ensure more efficient operation for their users. And got to remember, too, as Cardano's price goes up, the value of that treasury also goes up as it is denominated in the ADA token. So before I go to Forrest, Nick, what are your thoughts on Cardano here? And what are some of your targets and what they're doing? Do you feel like there's one narrative that's really going to push them? Is it going to be the Bitcoin OS narrative? Is it going to be what they're maybe doing in Argentina? Or is there something else that you think?
Yeah, I think number one, I need to make sure everyone has hit the subscribe button to the channel. Like, guys, you need to be subscribed to Sin City Crypto.
Amen.
Don't make it weird. Okay, it's kind of weird now if you're just watching for free. All it takes is a click. That's the only charge.
2 clicks because notification.
And,
Oh yeah, you got to turn on the bell too.
Also, less than 30% like ratio here.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
Wow. Well, I was going to drop some Cardano alpha, but I'm going to hold back because y'all just aren't here. And then Ashley's making it weird. She won't make me a moderator. This is very awkward right now. But I think Cardano hitting $3. That's kind of like my moderate target.
So just getting back to all time. Yeah.
So that's my moderate early 2025 target. Now, alts are going to, if you look at the previous cycles, alts lagged by about 3 or 4 months from the Bitcoin high. So I think Cardano, is around the $8 for like its Pico top. So if you've got a bag of Cardano, set your sell orders. I have a sell order for Cardano at $8. So that's basically, I'm going to liquidate the rest of my position if it hits $8. If it doesn't, and we're starting to see like peak FOMO, and the Coinbase app is number 1, and your taxi driver is talking about buying Solana, I'm selling everything, even if Cardano's not at $8 at that point. I think the narrative that's really going to go with Cardano is twofold. Number one, it is like kind of like the Donnie Darko of all the cryptos. It's weird, it's degenerate, it's like very, very decentralized. I've been calling Cardano the Bitcoin of proof of stake coins for about a year now. It's going to have a hold in South America and in other developing countries in Eastern Asia as kind of like the way to do business. They have a couple really interesting RWA plays on Cardano. But the second narrative to keep in touch with and keep track of is Charles being involved in the Trump administration. That there are rumblings of that.
I saw that. Do you put any weight to that?
I put weight to it. Why?
Because of RFK?
Because of RFK, I think Charles is going to be on Joe Rogan in 2025.
Okay.
And that would be huge for Cardano. And yeah, I believe he's going to have some influence in molding crypto policy. This is not Cardano related, but last night I was at a bar talking with some other film people. They know, basically Hester Pierce knows their lawyer, and Hester Pierce is being heavily courted by the Trump administration to be the new SEC chair.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I've also seen Mark Ueda's name get thrown out there as well. I would argue he's maybe a little more bullish on Bitcoin and crypto, but
yeah.
Forrest, can we ask you for a Cardano chart? Cardano's been rallying again, up over 10% on the 24-hour, 13% on the 24-hour. What's the chart looking like? Are we at any key levels?
Yeah, so I've got 4 Cardano charts pulled up here. So on the top left, we've got Cardano versus Bitcoin. So like these are all weekly charts. These are all high time frame charts. So Cardano's coming back down into its region against Bitcoin that historically it's been a good region to buy, right? Like when Bitcoin's price goes up this much against Cardano, and Cardano's price falls this much against Bitcoin's price, it's generally historically been a really solid time to buy. For me as a trader, I'm not interested in Cardano until it breaks out. Like to me, this is still a very downtrending market versus Bitcoin.
What do you mean it's broken out? What do you mean
Bitcoin.
You're going to wait? Forrest, it's already happened, bro.
No, what do you mean it's broken out? It's literally. I can't call this a break. There's signs. There's bull divs Bitcoin? On the weekly. If you buy like every time it like kind of gives a pop, you get some immediate returns, but you end up down in this case 70% against Bitcoin over the last year. So people, I get it. Like people can be bullish on Cardano. For me as a trader, without a fundamental thesis on Cardano, I can't bring myself to be in Cardano until it starts outperforming the rest of the market. Now, there are signs that it's at its lows against the rest of the market, and that is a good time to buy. It's at the lows against Bitcoin. It could still go further. It could still go down 30%. If Bitcoin just rallies another 30% and Cardano doesn't keep up, then it just could go down another 10, 15% against Bitcoin. That's fine. It'll be a better price. I'm of the opinion I'd rather wait for it to break out because I don't need to buy the absolute pico lows of Cardano. You could buy just when it broke out and still make 956% against Bitcoin, right? So whatever Bitcoin gains, another 956% on top of that if you just wait for the breakout. But if you bought down here, right, you kind of just trading sideways for a long period of time in line with Bitcoin. And I prefer to just wait for the breakout. Over here, Cardano versus ETH. So down bottom left, Cardano versus ETH. This isn't a big falling wedge. This is a bullish structure against ETH, but it hasn't broken out yet. If we start breaking out against Ethereum over here, maybe sometime in March of 2025, happily take a Cardano long. I think it'd be a really, really solid long, especially if we start taking out some of this horizontal resistance, reclaiming levels against Ethereum as we're breaking a downtrend level. Love it. But right now, I just know that this could continue to bleed out against Ethereum. So for right now, I think Ethereum's a little bit stronger than Cardano on the high time frames, and I want Cardano to prove itself before I go into a long. Bottom right here is Doge or Cardano versus Doge. It's at the bottom of its channel against Doge. Doge has been a pretty solid performer in the past week or two, and that's brought this ratio down to a pretty decent support level that we could see start pushing. We could start to see Cardano pushing back up against Doge. We get up to these levels here, I'm happy to be a Cardano buyer. Up here, Cardano versus Solana. We're starting to see some bullish divergence on the weekly. This could be a bottom signal, but there have been bullish divergences for Cardano in the past against Solana that haven't played out. That said, if this starts breaking out against Solana, I'm happy to be a Cardano buyer against Sol. If it doesn't, and this just continues to underperform Solana, you're just better off in Solana than you are Cardano. So, I'm just going to wait until this starts breaking out and becomes stronger against the rest of the market. I do think as of today, there's a lot of signal going on that you could argue that maybe the bottom is in for Cardano against the rest of the market and it's going to outperform for here. I'm just not ready to take that plunge as a trader yet. I'm looking for a clearer signal of breakouts against other strong assets in the market.
Awesome. You want to chime in here, Robin?
No, I mean, I think what he's saying makes sense. Cardano's been very pumpy. And then
pumpy, huh?
And then it also has retraced, but that was during more of the lulls of the bear market, obviously bleeding against Bitcoin since its top, and it did have that one breakout in February up to 70 cents. But after that, it's been nothing but down and to the right as far as trading against Bitcoin, and just pretty much sideways at 35 cents for eternity, right? And so, is it okay to, I have no problem waiting it out. I got conviction on Cardano, so I got no problem picking it up now at this point, just because I know the long-term price. But I do understand the hesitancy. It does tend to pump and pull back. But you know what? I like the roadmap. I like what they're doing. I like the partnerships. And one thing that I kind of resemble, or what I think about when I think about a Cardano chart, was Polygon last bull market. Because Polygon, at one point, it got a little pump, a little pullback. And then at some point, Polygon just kept moving and it just never slowed down. There was never any giant retracements or corrections until the bull market was over. And, we saw Polygon go from the 10 cents up to, $2, $3. And it just kept moving. And that was because, it was alleviating the, it was a different option to the Ethereum network that was over congested. And I think that Cardano is another option for smart contracts. If there were to be any kind of issues with Solana, which we know they do have a track record of having hiccups on their chain, where else are you going to go, right? I mean, are we going to go back to Ethereum, or are we going to move to another high throughput
We're turning the
blockchain
page
to Cardano? And so I don't know. I feel like it makes a lot of sense to pick up Cardano now, but it also, I understand 100% its pullbacks that it's had recently. But I don't know. I compare it to Polygon during its epic run last bull market. I think that once it starts moving, which maybe now is the time, it maybe won't stop till it gets up to that $2-3.
Can't stop, won't stop.
It's a good entry though. 40 cents. If it's
Yeah.
kind of like, what is that, a 9x?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, a 9x.
I know we've become so spoiled in our space that a 9X is like, it's all right.
Garbage.
Garbage. Guys, I have a pin to the top here. We're going to go live on Bold after this. We're going to talk, definitely talk about
Trump's winning.
Trump
a lot
win.
of Trump stuff.
So go subscribe and join us right after this live show. I do want to share a couple of quick pieces of news here. Number one, Detroit becomes the first city or the largest city in the U.S. to accept crypto payments for taxes. Now, you might be saying, well, I'm not going to pay with taxes. Fine. Neither am I. I'm not going to get rid of my Bitcoin or crypto. But why is this important? Detroit residents will soon have the option to pay taxes and other city fees using cryptocurrency through a secure platform managed by PayPal. City officials announced today, in doing so, Detroit would become the largest U.S. city to accept cryptocurrency payments. I think we're on the path to crypto and stable coins becoming more involved in the financial system on an everyday basis. And why is that important? Well, if we can get something to where it's treated like money and you don't have to, pay taxes to send and receive like you do with some like Zelle or Cash App, that would be absolutely amazing. We also have big news coming out of Pennsylvania. A very pro-crypto candidate flips the Senate seat. And so Dave McCormick wins a Pennsylvania Senate seat. So we're getting more crypto bullish people in Congress. Of course, we have it in the presidency. And so the golden age of crypto, as a lot of people say, is potentially underway. So a lot of exciting things. And I do want to share this video here. This was Anthony Pompliano on Fox Business. Listen to how he responds to someone's quip on why Bitcoin is not a good savings account. Listen to this. Oh, I got to turn my volume on really quick.
The volatility on this thing is way too high for anybody to call that a savings account. I mean, you may like it, but I think that's a bridge too far right now, isn't it?
Over the last 30 years, the U.S. dollar has lost 50% of its purchasing power. So in my lifetime, $1 now buys you 50% or 50 cents of service and goods. And so when you think about that, the most volatile asset that most people hold is the dollar, and they're on the wrong side of volatility. Bitcoin, on the other hand, over a long period of time appreciates. And so the best statistic to look at this is in 2016, the average median home was about $380,000. I'm sorry, $280,000. Today, it's over $400,000.
Right.
So 50% increase in the average home in America. During that same 8-year period, it used to cost 664 Bitcoin to buy that home. Today, it costs 6 Bitcoin. It has been a 99% reduction in the cost of a home in America if you held Bitcoin. And so another way to think about that is if you had about $5,000 of Bitcoin in 2016, today it could buy you a house.
Think about that. And in 2 years, it's only going to take 1 Bitcoin to buy a house. Think about the power of that, right? So just an interesting conversation to be had there. I also want to touch really quickly on the Ethereum ETFs. We kind of talked about this prior to the show, but we're seeing an uptick in inflows. The last 2 days combined around $130 million worth of money flowing into the Ethereum ETF. You have, of course, BlackRock leading the way at 23.7 million. Actually, I lied. Fidelity led the way yesterday and the day before at 28.9 and 26.9 million, respectively. Are we going to see a reversal in inflows for the Ethereum ETF? Potentially, yes. And on top of that, if we do get staking, we could be in for massive price appreciation for ETH. This thing has been performing horribly against Bitcoin. That gap has been so large. We talked about this on the show. We expect that gap to close, and I expect it to close fairly quickly. Could we see a $5,000 Ethereum before the year is over? I believe we definitely can. Real quick, I'll go around the horn here. What are you guys' thoughts on now that we're seeing more inflows into ETH, where ETH is at now? Would you rather be long ETH or long Bitcoin through the end of the year? We'll start with you first here.
End of the year? I'm gonna go Bitcoin. I think that Ethereum is going to rally later in next year. So I think because what we're expecting from Trump's administration, well, Trump doesn't take office until towards the back end of January. So I think any progressive legislation that's coming out of the executive branch and also Congress
We won't see that until probably February or March. And I mean, the retail is just not here yet, at least not to the level that we would expect a giant move out of Ethereum. I think Ethereum's move is coming. I just think it's still a little bit more dependent on that crypto friendly regulation. But I do hold Bitcoin as one of the top performing cryptos until the end of the year. I think that the price being suppressed as much as it was since February. I mean, it traded under that $72,000 range. You know, the same range we were at.
So you're going Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Okay, Forrest, what about you? Real quick. ETH or Bitcoin you got to hold it through the end of the year.
Honestly, it's 50-50. If you look at the ETH Bitcoin chart, it's plunged into support and it's just now starting to break trend. I think you could go either way and it's not going to make much difference. ETH might outperform Bitcoin, but it's a little bit higher risk because it's been downtrending for so long. That downtrend is starting to break out. So like you make the argument for ETH. If you're just a little bit, more, you're wanting to take a little bit more risk. I think it doesn't matter either way. I think it's about 50-50. You might end up worse off. You might end up better off, but risk adjusted, I don't see much of a difference.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with either. Also want to know, Q1 for ETH is the most bullish quarter ever. Nick, same question to you.
I think I'm going to long both.
That's not the game. The game is you pick one.
32x long both. Probably Ethereum. Just because, look, guys, we're in crypto. I want the higher. We're very risk friendly in crypto. So, like, if you're telling your uncle at Thanksgiving and you're rubbing everyone's faces in not buying crypto, tell them to buy some Bitcoin. They'll get 15% between Thanksgiving and the end of the year. But for me, the degenerate, 32x long Ethereum to the end of the year.
Okay. I'm in the Bitcoin camp. I think Q1 is going to be massive. I think the market flow cycle of Bitcoin to large caps, mid caps, small caps, I don't think that's broken. I do think there's going to be more of an even playing field. I think all tides can rise together, or all boats can rise together. But if I had to pick one, I'm bullish on both. I would go with Bitcoin, and then Q1 rotate some of that money into Ethereum. It's Friday. It's the end of the show, which is the point where we do our Bitcoin price predictions for Monday. I will start with Rocco first. Yeah. Rocco, what is your price prediction for when we come in the studio Monday morning at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? What will be the price of BTC?
It's going to kiss 80,000.
80,000?
Yeah.
80,000.
It's going to kiss 80, okay? Rob?
I'll say 78.7.
Okay. Forrest?
I'll say 77. I think it's not going to change. I think alts will probably run over the weekend more than likely, and Bitcoin will just be flat.
Nick?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was going to say. We're just going to range in the high 70s for probably another week.
77?
Yeah.
You people copied me.
What do you mean?
I was going to say it was going to stay, but I'll say 76.
So you think it's going to go down? Y'all
Yeah.
are so not bullish.
It says 77 too. Like, that's not going down that much. Like, what do you mean?
It's still down. Man, y'all got, man, I'm at 82, bro.
82?
$82,000. Yeah. Wrong with you. Then we're going to see another big day of inflows today. I think over the weekend, we're 6 days removed from the election. It's the only market that's open. Unless you think suddenly over the weekend, people are not going to be bullish. What market's open over the weekend? It's Bitcoin, baby. $82,000 come Monday. Write it down, laminate that piece of paper, stick it in a P.O. box, and save it for later. Well, bring it back Monday because we'll talk about it. All right, that'll do it for the show today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Big thank you to our two guests, Forrest and Nick. We are going to be going live on Bold here in about 15 minutes. So if you want to hear us chatter about stuff outside of crypto, definitely recommend you go join us. The link to that live stream is pinned to the top of the comments section. Also want to give one more big thank you to today's channel sponsor, which is Cam's Blue Wire Technology. Visit bluewiretech.com if you want to learn how they can help your business scale and grow. And with that being said, Rocco, thank you all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you. Make sure to come back on Monday here at Sin City Crypto, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go watch the video we put out yesterday. Hedera video comes out in 1 hour. We love you guys. Until then,
Sin
peace.
City Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.